The power play stinks. The defending stinks. The 5-on-5 is nothing special. The power play really stinks. Has to be mentioned twice, maybe more. But you know what? The one thing, speaking only for myself here, that I thought would be this team's biggest concern. Man, the goaltending's been good. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Flyers 2, Penguins 1 in overtime here in Philadelphia. I feel like I saw this coming throughout, but especially once the OT came along and you could tell, my goodness, the visitors just had nothing going. No energy, no spark, no dynamism, no aggressiveness, just no nothing. So either Alex Nedeljkovic was going to continue being beyond brilliant, or the Flyers were going to take this. And they did, with a Sean Couturier goal off a 2-on-1. Man, was he good, though. 37 saves on 39 shots. He was named the number one star in Philadelphia, here, of all places, in a loss. And I'm going to share a funny story with you guys. Downstairs in the writers area, near the Penguins locker room, I went in there to get some photos and stuff like that to go with my column, waiting for the traffic to dissipate. And I overheard, I have no idea who they were, but I overheard a couple of people saying, who picked the Pittsburgh player to be number one star? And somebody says, it was his first night, I think. And they're like, well, this is going to be his last night. Wow. That's how good Nedeljkovic was. All right. This is what Mike Sullivan had to say about Nedeljkovic's performance.
I thought Ned was real good. I thought he made some timely saves for us. I thought he was real solid.
Has he surprised you in any way?
No, I thought, we felt confident that we were getting a pretty good goaltender, and he's lived up to it. I think he's given us a chance every time he's been in there. He makes quality stops. He's got a calm demeanor. He handles the puck really well. I think he's done a real good job with each start that he's had so far.
He almost smiled. If you can imagine that, in this setting, in this circumstance, he almost smiled as he spoke. That's how good the goaltending's been. Not just Nedeljkovic, but also Tristan Jarry. The two of them together, by some conventional metrics, by some advanced metrics, have been either the top tandem in the NHL to date or one of the top 3 tandems in the league. Either way, I'm not doing a told you so here, but if you go back to everything that I'd been talking about for months, this was going to be the number one subject. As it turns out, it's been hijacked in the worst way by this power play. And kind of as a spin-off, and I feel like they're related, this team's terrible shooting percentage across the board, including 5-on-5, that's got everyone frustrated. I actually asked Nedeljkovic about that after the game. Alex, your guys in front of you are obviously going to be frustrated at not scoring many goals lately. Do you feel like they've still performed well in front of you defensively despite that?
I think for the most part, yeah. I think we're trying, and I think right now we're in a bit of a rut. Pucks just aren't going in for us. Their guy played good tonight. He made a flurry of saves there in the second period. So, you give him credit. He played well, and for whatever reason, puck's just not going in for us. But the job doesn't change for myself and for Jars. We give them the best chance to win as we can, and the rest will take care of itself.
Now, if you're one of those people who believes, as a lot of those inside the Penguins world believe, that the power play is just going to magically come around and fix itself, and one day all of these shots that are being aimed at all of these corners are just going to ping their way into the net, and everyone's going to be happy and raising their arms, and we'll forget that this ever happened. I'm not. Okay. I think there's a lot of actual work, a lot of actual change that has to take place. I think it's going to be difficult. It'll be difficult for Kyle Dubas, who was here on the trip and looking none too pleased after the game, to acquire someone who would make a difference in front of the net. Those guys don't grow on trees. When teams have them, they tend to keep them unless you're moronic like Calgary. But I don't believe that other necessary changes will be easy to implement either, most notably having all of your players, not just whoever happens to come through the door next, being sent to the front of the net. That means your stars, too. I believe there's a lot of work ahead in getting this team to defend better and to not force their goaltender to become the number one star in a visiting rink, because that's really what happened last night, including on the selection, is that the Flyers had so many odd man breaks and clean breakaways. I feel like Travis Konechny spent 2.5 full hours on a one-man breakaway. You've got to do better than that. That's not going to happen overnight, and neither is solving whatever's wrong with Ryan Graves right now. But there was nowhere to go with this operation if the goaltending wasn't at a certain level. I don't know if it's going to hold up. I don't know if it's streaky. I don't know if it's slumpy. But for right now, it sure looks like, for whatever other roster decisions might have been made well or bungled, the choice of not just keeping Jarry, albeit at a high price, but also of adding both Nedeljkovic and Magnus Hellberg has made a big, big difference. One that could not have been replaced or fixed otherwise. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from Robert, who asks, I can't tell if this is serious. DK, I have an actual hypothetical question I want you to answer. If the Penguins had a full 60 minutes of power play time, as in they go 5-on-4 the entire game, would they win? My answer to you would begin, Robert, with some math that I just happened to do for the column that I have up on our website this morning. That the Penguins have logged 109 minutes and 22 seconds on the power play this season. And because they only have 7, count them, 7 power play goals through a quarter of the season, it takes them the rough equivalent of 15 minutes and 34 seconds to score a goal. So depending on your level of optimism or pessimism, they would either score 3 goals or 4 goals over the course of those 60 minutes, pathetic as that might sound. Problem is, if they play the way they did here last night, they would give up more shorthanded shots, more shorthanded chances, more shorthanded breakaways to Travis Konechny, who I think was born on a breakaway. And they would probably struggle to hold the Flyers to less than those same 3 or 4 goals. If this sounds excessively cynical, I would invite you to go back and watch all 120 plus minutes of these past 2 games and tabulate the quality of offense/defense between the Penguins and the Flyers only in the settings where the Penguins were on a 5-on-4. It will turn your stomach. I am not trying to avoid the subject of the day by bringing up the Nedeljkovic today, but I did make a really, really big issue of goaltending all summer long. And now that the goaltending's here, apparently and ideally to stay, that's not small. That's not small. Because for all these contracts that the Penguins have, these big contracts, these long-term contracts, I believe that the one they could not afford to misfire on more than anyone else was going to be Tristan Jarry. And Jarry's shown up, and he's gotten plenty of support. Kyle Dubas is going to take his hits, and he deserves to, for some of the rest of this roster, notably the scoring depth such as it is, especially now with everybody in some kind of 0 for 12 or 1 for 14 stretch. Everybody, like across the board. I don't know what he was thinking with some of these guys. I definitely don't know what he was thinking with Matt Nieto. But he got himself some goaltending, and he kept the one that he needed. And there's something to be said for that. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening. The Daily Shot of Penguins is going to do another one of these tomorrow.